Angela Betencourt is a global communications professional with 20 plus years of experience across 5 continents.
I love a great film. I love a great documentary. I want to help filmmakers that are making films about the environment. I want to help them. I wish imposter syndrome could just be like banished from the earth. I find that it just creeps its way into, it's crept its way into my life multiple times.
Hi, Angela.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. You look so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
This is Tina. Angela. Tina's been on our team since the dawn of WAN. I pulled you into our little back room before we admit everyone. There's, 19 people in the participants outside right now.
Great.
How you feeling?
Goodness. A little bit nervous, but that's good because the day I stop feeling nervous about talking that's going to be straight. No, I'm very excited. A little bit nervous. Some women have reached out to me on LinkedIn and they're just unbelievable. I'm so impressed with everyone. Holly, you've built something so amazing here. The women in this network and men too. Men in the aerospace have reached out to me and I'm just like, wow, you guys are so impressive. It's wonderful.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Oh, that's awesome. You're gonna make me cry. Stop.
No, what you've built here is amazing. And now in fact, I'm like, what existed before this where all these incredible people got together? Because I'm blown away. There's someone I think is going to join. Her name is Anja in Switzerland. And she's an astronautical researcher and engineer. I'm just like, okay, you're amazing. You're all amazing. And she's like, can't wait. And I was like, oh, so you've built something so special. This is awesome.
Thanks, Angela. And we are just getting started, honestly. Like right now, this is just the beginning. So I'm excited. Give us another year. Come back to us in 1 year. It is.
I'm sticking around. I plan on sticking around.
Good, because we're not letting you go.
I plan on sticking around. Yeah, I'm super inspired by everyone too. So I don't know what the exercise is going to be for the icebreaker, but I'd love for people, if they can, put stuff in the chat to put where they're tuning in from. Because I've had people message me from all over the place. And as you mentioned, sometimes, right, like people RSVP, but the ratio is not always the same, but it'd be nice to see where people are tuning in from.
Yes, yeah, that was Tina's idea too. She mentioned that to me this morning. And let's go ahead and kick it off then, because we have 35 in the waiting room. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna press the button.
All right.
Hey everyone.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from.
Good afternoon tomorrow if you're out in, I don't know, a country where it's tomorrow, like Australia.
All right, as we have everybody coming in, welcome in. If you could drop in the chat just a quick little icebreaker where you're from, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to see where you're all tuning in from. And then if you want to drop in any fun facts, any like cool facts about yourself and where you're from. India, we got California. Hi, welcome in. Canada, welcome neighbor. Very cool. We got Germany and Switzerland. So cool.
So many countries here. This is one beautiful thing about WAN is we've never had an event where it's just one country. So many people from all over. It's a beautiful thing. In our speed networking events, usually every person that you meet is from a different country. There's not one group that's all from the same place. Cool. Love seeing this.
I know. Spain. Nice.
Oh, welcome in, Amanda. You're from the Royal Canadian Air Force. How cool.
Woohoo, Air Force.
Oh, Amanda reached out to us. Hi, Amanda.
Very cool.
Hi.
All right, it is 10:05, so let's kick it off. Hello, I am Holly, founder of Women's Aerospace Network and NASA engineer in my day job. I'm so excited to have you all today because I think it is going to be a very special day. Cameras on if you can, just so that we can all feel a little bit more connected and helps things feel a little bit more special. So if this is your first event with Women's Aerospace Network, please have grace for us. But I also hope that you have a great time. Everyone is always a little bit nervous coming to these events because these events are still new. This organization is not very old, and going to online events can often feel a little bit scary. So I just wanted to let you know that everyone is a little bit scared, and it's okay to feel that way. And we hope that we can make you feel as awesome and at home here today. So thank you for your time. We're gonna run until 11 o'clock. And as we're going through, we would love you to be as engaged as possible. I often tell the story that we didn't have events for WAN for the first year because I was so scared of having bad events, of having events where people weren't engaged and weren't tuned in. And I definitely encourage you to turn on your camera if you can, drop in the chat anything that you're thinking. If at any point Angela says something that you resonate with or you have more questions on, definitely drop in the chat. Okay, so Tina, we have another slide. If you wouldn't mind moving to that, and I'll run through the agenda really quick and show you guys what to expect. All right, so I'm doing my thing that says hello, welcome, and guest intro. And then we're going to hand it off to Angela, and she's going to talk for a few minutes, and that's going to be her time to share a bit about her story. And I'm super excited to hear that. And then we're going to switch to a pretty lengthy Q&A, and we want to answer as many questions as we possibly can. And so Tina's going to be running that section, and then we're going to close it off with just a couple fun rapid fire questions for Angela, and that will be that. Going in, I'll read Angela's bio and we'll kick it off from there. All right. Angela Betencourt is a global communications professional with 20 plus years of experience across 5 continents. Pretty impressive, including 2 years in Sierra Leone during the Ebola crisis. She's the founder and CEO of Betencourt Group, a strategic communications firm amplifying impact-driven people and organizations. Angela holds a master's in global strategic communications from Georgetown and a bachelor's in public relations from Barry University. She's also a 2018 Georgetown Santandler Social Economy Fellow with certifications in market systems and evaluation methods. A proud member of the U.S. Air Force Reserve, Angela is also a writer, scuba diver, ocean advocate, and a mom who finds purpose in family, travel, and meaningful work. Thank you for your service, Angela. Alrighty, with that, Tina, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, and I'll let Angela take the stage.
Thank you so much. I have to say, I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and I'm even more grateful for all the incredible women that have reached out to me on LinkedIn leading up to this. You're all so impressive, so amazing. You're out there switching careers and making a name for yourself and looking for opportunities and trying to grow and trying to build your brand, and I'm super inspired by all of you. Here's a couple of pictures that encapsulate my life pretty well. So the top left corner is my family. That's my husband and my almost 2-year-old son, Max. I'm a scuba diver, and I love scuba diving because it gives me this opportunity to explore the oceans, but also to experience weightlessness. In this picture, I'm 100% buoyant, so I'm just floating there, and that's a wonderful feeling. My job in communications and marketing allows me the opportunity to meet very cool people. And so I put that little picture because that's Drew Barrymore, and she's one of my faves. Super lovely. I love traveling. So this is me in Paris 2 years ago over the summer, obviously here in my US Air Force uniform. And then the bottom picture is me and my son, because I love being a mom. As challenging as it is to be an entrepreneur and a military career, and also raising a very active, awesome little boy, being a mom is one of the best things ever. Thank you, Holly, for the opportunity to share these brief photos with you. So as Holly mentioned, I'm the founder of Betencourt Group. I've been doing communications and marketing for 20 years. I've had an extremely non-linear career, topsy-turvy, all over the place, but it's all led me to where I am today with Betencourt Group and helping to amplify the voices of people doing incredible work for our planet and for local communities all around the country and around the world. And that work brings me so much joy. and truly aligned with my values, which is something I'm hoping that I can expand on a little bit, or if you guys have questions about that as we move through this event. But aligning in my values, aligning in my purpose and my mission has really helped me down this path of building my personal brand and getting visibility for myself in an authentic way. And so that's something I want to share with all of you today as well. And then about 4.5 years ago, and as part of this very nonlinear journey, and having come back from a very intense environment that was being in Sierra Leone for 2 years during the Ebola virus crisis, I came back to the US, jumped into grad school, did grad school, traveled all around the world during that cohort, which was amazing. And then lockdown happened, and I had a lot of time to think, as I'm sure a lot of you on this call also had a lot of time to think about life's decisions and what's next. And it was during this time that I realized I wanted to serve in a bigger capacity. I did a lot of service work in Sierra Leone as a communications manager on this private sector development program. And I came back to the US and I was like, what's next? How can I amplify myself a little bit more? How can I challenge myself a little bit more? And how can I do that in a capacity of while serving? And because of good friends in the Air Force, they put a little seed in my ear and I explored the path. And on August 5th, 2020, I signed the dotted line and enlisted in the United States Air Force Reserves. And that's been one of the best decisions I ever made, because it has been a gift that keeps on giving, which is one of the life philosophies that I have on making big, bold moves in your life. And being in the Air Force Reserves has opened so many doors for me professionally and personally. And it's challenged me in a wonderful way, because I picked a job in the Air Force that was 100% different from my civilian life. And I became an F-16 jet engine mechanic. And so I turn wrenches and get covered in oil and do all of these very technical, very specific, and very important work with the Air Force Reserves. And in that capacity, I also look for opportunities to lead. There's only 2 other women in my engine shop out of 40 men. And in all of the Air Force Reserves, about only 4% of maintainers are women. And so I'm very much working in a male-dominated space. And I'm always thinking about, how do I stand out in this space? How do I find mentors? How do I find people that are going to champion me? How do I find opportunities for leadership as someone who's coming from a completely different background, a completely different industry into this space? How do I make this opportunity my own? And so through the Air Force Reserve, I found opportunities to be a leader. Even though I was coming in, new kid on the block, 0 mechanical skills. Apparently my entrance exam said I have good mechanical skills, hence picking this job. But I came in not knowing anything. And today I can work on multiple parts of F-16 engines by myself. And that shows the type of progress that I've been able to make. And also the ability for all of us to step into positions that are new and different and still be able to excel in that position. And that's extremely important. And so I found opportunities to lead, even though I was still new, even though I was not the most experienced one. There were opportunities in the Air Force that there were leadership and other people in roles of higher leadership were looking to fill. And I raised my hand and I said, I can learn new things. Hence, I can learn this job, so I can absolutely learn some of the other opportunities that were available within the Air Force, not necessarily connected to my job, just other leadership opportunities. And that's given me exposure to the highest commanders of our base know who I am, because of the opportunity to step into these leadership roles and to learn. And it's also given me the opportunity to find mentorship in places I didn't think I was going to find mentorship. And that was and continues to be a very important aspect of the work that I'm doing. And so I'm so grateful that you're all here today. Feel free to drop anything in the chat about your own journey of trying to find leadership opportunities and to try to get visibility for yourself in your career space, especially if you're in a male-dominated area. Because a lot of this has led me to my own personal branding and visibility journey that is an ongoing journey. And one of the main things that I want to share with all of you that are here to build your brand, get more visibility, get more acknowledgement for the work that you're doing, is that building your personal brand is not an end game. It's an ongoing journey that you're on. And as you evolve in your career, your personal brand will evolve as well. And I think that's something that's really important. And something else that I wanted to share is that when we think about personal brands and when we think about visibility, it really starts with your aligning with your values and what it is that you're trying to achieve. Because here's a fun way that I like to think about personal brands and visibility. I like to think of it as a user manual. It's giving other people the opportunity to learn how to best engage with you. It gives people the opportunity to know how they can promote you, how they can celebrate you, because you've given them the roadmap that helps them identify the best opportunities for you. And when you build your personal brand and when you are out there and stepping outside of your comfort zone a little bit and writing thought leadership pieces for yourself and looking for ways to amplify the work that you're doing that's aligned authentically with your values, you're able to show people what it is that you're trying to achieve, and that way they're able to help you. Comment in the chat if you've ever experienced people not getting you and people not fully understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve because you have multiple things going on, or put a thumbs up in the chat if that's ever been you, because it certainly has been me, in the sense that people are like, you're in communications, you're an entrepreneur, but you're also in the military. I don't get it. I don't get it. And your personal brand is the answer to that. It's the solution to that. It's how you present, and I'm glad to see the thumbs up, absolutely. And some of you that have reached out to me have these incredible bios where you're doing awesome things. And to other people, what you're doing might not seem connected or linear, but at the end of the day, it very much is a part of who you are, and it is very much a part of your personal brand. And oh, thank you, Tina. Yeah, all the time, all the thumbs up. I love it, because this happens to me regularly, and I'm just like, I need to take control of my narrative, and I need to create that user guide that allows people to understand how to interact with me and how to bring me the opportunities that align with what it is that I'm trying to do and what it is that I'm trying to achieve. And Holly, please let me know when I've reached those 10-minute limits, because I'll just blab on forever. I certainly don't want to cut into...
Please continue on.
Oh, okay. I don't want to cut into our question time, but oh my goodness, I'm so glad that it's not just me with all the thumbs up in the chat, because, and I find that especially high achieving, amazing, brilliant women, like so many of you are in this community, oftentimes face this issue, right? And so this is why building a personal brand and gaining visibility for yourself is so important. But it begins first with your aligning with who you are, aligning with what you're trying to achieve. And from there, you can then start implementing all the tactics. And we've seen this on LinkedIn, and it gets fed to us on various platforms, right? We want to maybe start a podcast or start writing thought leadership and creating content on social. And all of those are tactics that are part of building the actual actions taken to build your personal brand. But it starts with alignment of a clarity and alignment of who you are, what you're trying to achieve, how you want to be perceived to the world, what you want people to know about you, and what are the opportunities that you'd like to see open up for you in the future. Here's something that's fun for me. I love being on panels, but even more than being on panels, I like moderating panels, which is like a very specific thing. I love a good panel moderation opportunity, but unless I've put myself out there and talked about it and posted about it, then people wouldn't know to give me these opportunities, right? And so once I started creating visibility around wanting to be a panel moderator and wanting people to know that I'm a good panel moderator, all of a sudden, opportunities started coming up because people knew that about me now. And it really gave people a little bit of insight that, oh, you know what? Angela is someone who loves interviewing people, because I love stories and I love connecting the dots, which is a big part of the work that I do as a communicator and a communication strategist. Is I'm basically telling stories, and I'm connecting people with other people to help tell these stories. And moderating panels is a great way to ask questions, bring the dots together. Again, something that I like to do, but no one would have known that. They wouldn't have known that just because of Betencourt Group. They definitely would not have known that because of the Air Force. But they knew that because it's part of my communications strategy about building my personal brand and what I want people to know about me. And so I wanted to, speaking of storytelling, I know one of the things that was advertised as part of this chat was my National Geographic media coverage. So if that was something that interested you about this, I want to share that story because it was about storytelling, but also about persistence. During Climate Week in Miami, which is like the Aspen Climate Week event that used to happen in Miami every year, I think they moved it to Chicago this year, was a lot of journalists and communications and climate change leaders come into town to have conferences and discuss climate and all this good stuff. And there was a woman named Laura Parker, who's was a Nat Geo editor. And she came into town because she wanted to write a story about mangroves. And I'm just looking at the comments as well. So I wasn't in National Geographic, but my client, the Nature Conservancy Florida, and the scientists there were included in this story. And the reason that this story happened was because I went above and beyond to ensure that the journalist had all the information that she needed to tell this story, that she had all the interviews, that she had all of the data, that she had all of the images, everything that she needed to be able to tell the story about mangroves and how our oceans are getting warmer and how mangroves are migrating further north because the water further north is getting a little bit warmer. Very fascinating story that I'm like, the Nature Conservancy Florida is leading on this research and leading on this information, and I really want this story to be told. And one day I get an email from Laura saying, I can't reach this person and I don't have a vehicle because I'm just in town for a few days and I'm not able to connect and I don't think we can do the story. And I wrote back to Laura and I said, absolutely not. This story needs to be told. I'm going to drive you to your appointment. I'm going to make calls. I'm going to make sure that you get the information, the data, the scientist, everything that you need to make this story happen. And I did just that. And the result was this beautiful story that appeared on Nat Geo Online and also got some shout outs in the print publication. And it's definitely one of my favorite stories and a highlight of what it takes sometimes to get the stories told. Especially when I'm passionate about it, I'm a little bit relentless. And I'm like, we need to tell this story. We need to interview these scientists. What are your bottlenecks? What are the challenges? I'm going to remove those so that this story can be told. And so Laura I think some of you guys might know Nat Geo had a big restructuring. So Laura is no longer part of Nat Geo. She's doing some work with the UN now. But she's one of my dear friends. And she emailed me after the story posted and said, I owe you a drink. And I was like, yes, you do. So I just wanted to share that because any questions? Oh yeah, please drop them in the chat. It's really important, the work that I do, that I ensure that the stories that I want to elevate are being elevated. Stories that I'm passionate about, stories that I think the world should hear. I love amplifying people that are doing incredible work that I'm just like, there's so much negativity out in the world sometimes, especially in the news cycle sometimes. And if I can help contribute positive news and bring attention to the incredible women and men and organizations that are doing great work, then that's exactly what I want to do. I can also share another story, if time allows, about how the power of communications to shift narratives and some fun stories there. So I've been babbling for a little bit.
Angela, that is awesome. And I had to jump in here because you striked a nerve with me and maybe some of the audience too. Like the things that you are saying, I believe in so incredibly much, is that there's often, especially with the engineering field, there's a disconnect between technical skills and personal branding. So I just want to give shout out to everybody who showed up here today, because somewhere in the back of my head, I don't know about anybody else's, but as an engineer, it was like this, don't do personal branding. Let's not talk about it. Don't do it. And so thanks for everyone showing up here who might have a similar narrative in their brain, because it does take guts and courage, and especially putting yourself out there like we're talking about. There's just so much to navigate, like you were talking about. Like people are so multifaceted, and especially a lot of us who are into aerospace, right? It's like, how do you capture all these different facets of yourself and put them into one? So yeah, so thank you for sharing about that. I do have one question. Did you physically drive your client to the National Geographic interview?
And I drove the journalist, to her interviews. I was driving people around.
That's funny.
The journalist and I became friends because I was like, I don't have a car and I need to get to court from one area of Miami to the other area of Miami, which is like 35-minute drive. And I was like, I'm just going to drive you. Let's go. I'm taking you.
That is awesome. That's the way to do it, right? Just serve the journalists however we can. That is so cool. I couldn't figure out if that was like a metaphor. I was like, wait, no, I think she really did. Love that. So circling back, what would you say to my comment about some people like myself who had for a long time a narrative of not placing importance on personal branding over technical skills? And to me, personal branding was the number one thing that like helped me get my start into aerospace, get a good job. Like that, once I switched that script, everything changed. So what would you say to people like myself who might have that negative connotation towards it?
Yeah, and it's so common too. I myself have dealt with that. My personal branding journey has not been perfect by any means. It's a challenge because you're oftentimes thinking about, how do I connect these dots? How do I make this very technical skills and combine that with other work that I'm doing plus where I'm trying to go? And I'll say that your technical skills is a superpower. Your strategic technical thinking, your engineering brain, your skill sets, your data programming, all of that stuff that allows you to do the work that you do is a superpower. And it's something that definitely needs to be highlighted and amplified, especially when you're working in a male dominated area. It's something to brag about it, because not everyone has these skills. And the fact that you have these skills and you've studied hard and you've worked hard to acquire this knowledge and to put this talent that you have to work, it's part of your story. And here's the thing, because I say this from personal experience and from my own journey, is we're not all one thing. Our personal brand is personal. It's about you, the person. And so your ability, your math skills, your engineering skills, your entrepreneurship drive, all of these things make up the whole of who you are. And so your personal brand, and I saw some questions on the chat about how much do you share and things like that. So I definitely want to dive into all of that. But your technical skills, your strategic skills, your ability to do the work that you do, that you've worked hard for and studied hard for, and all of that is a superpower, and it's a part of who you are. And that's why earlier when I was talking about what are your values, what are the things about yourself that you want to amplify the most? And that's really the start of this question of what do I share and what do I not share? So if you want people to know that you're a strategic thinker, that you're creative, that you're a technical expert, that you're a data expert, that you're this engineer, and these are the things that you want to amplify the most, then that's going to really inform how much you share and what you share, right? If you want people to know about your engineering skills and you really want to lead with that because you want to continue to find opportunities in your career that are aligned with the work that you're trying to do, and you're trying to promote yourself to that next engineering opportunity, the next data computing opportunity, and that's what you want to do, then that's going to inform what you should be sharing. And that means you're out there talking about your knowledge. You're out there talking about the data and the language and the programming and Python and the C++. You're out there talking about those things because that's what you want people to know about you. If you want people to know that you are an engineer, that you're a computer scientist, but also you're trying to perhaps move into a position where you can do more mentoring. You want to be known as the lead mentor in your industry, then you need to make that part of your personal brand strategy. And when it comes to the tactics, then that includes talking about mentorship, but not just talking about it, looking for opportunities to actually do it. And then that opens up the doorway for you to then create that content. For example, in the Air Force, even though I have all 20 plus years of communication strategy experience, I have 2 years and like boot camp and tech school, 2 months tech school, coming into the Air Force with people that have been in there for 18, 19, their whole career. And what do I know? But I was like, there still must be opportunities for me to lead. And so you have all these different types of councils, airmen councils, and things like that that you can join, which is base wide. And I was like, fine, I'm gonna go join that. And what can I do in that? I know social media skills and I know marketing skills. So I'm gonna be the social media marketer for the Airmen's Council. And that's exactly what I did. And next thing I know, I'm having breakfast with the base commander, 1-star general, lieutenant colonels. And why? People that had been in the Air Force their entire careers that have never, ever sat with a colonel for coffee. Here I am 2 years in having coffee with colonels. Why? Because I looked for opportunities to showcase what I did know in this brand new environment. And this is 100% applicable in your industry. So it doesn't have to be the leadership position in the engineering, whatever, because perhaps that door isn't open for you yet. But perhaps maybe there's an outside organization where I can take this skill and it's well appreciated, and I can be in that leadership role. And now suddenly the door over here that was closed previously might open because you promoted yourself into this role, if that makes sense.
Love that. And it's so true that in order to attract opportunities, you have to put yourself out there, right? And talk about it. And it's part creating the opportunities yourself, but also attracting them. And I think that's where the real power happens. So with that, I see tons of questions in the chat, and I love this. I'm going to hand it over to Tina, and she's going to facilitate asking some of these and then getting those in there. Let me add her to the spotlight. I'm going to take myself out. And
cool. So I'll dive right in. There's a lot of questions, and I'm trying to just group them by topic. So I think you've already covered some of these questions. I'm going to start off with a question from Vasvi Pankaj. They ask, how do you find the right kind of networking via social media? I think they're talking about platform, especially with such a diverse career. Where do you put out all of your achievements and accomplishments?
That's a great question. I first find the spaces that interest me the most. As through Betencourt Group, Betencourt Group has a lot of clients in all sectors, but I'm very interested in environmental impact, social impact spaces. And so that's my first thing. Find the area that interests you and start there. So with Betencourt Group, I'm very interested in working with people that are in the environmental conservation space and are doing creative things to do really fun storytelling. That's the niche. One of the niches I'm trying to build for myself in my personal brand is I'm the go-to person that you want to talk to if you're working in this space and you have a project in this space and you're trying to figure out how to elevate that. So one of the things even more niche than that I want to be known for is conservation filmmaking. I love a great film. I love a great documentary. I want to help filmmakers that are making films about the environment. I want to help them because people need to know what they're talking about. And the arts is a wonderful way to push information out in digestible ways for people to learn about, right? It's a less boring way to learn about climate change if you're watching a really engaging documentary about it. So I want to work with filmmakers. And so what do? I'm going to go put myself in the environment where I can network the best. So for example, the Climate Film Festival in New York, I'm currently helping them. I'm just helping them. I think they might become a client in the future, but right now I'm volunteering for them, if you will. Why? Because I'm very interested in this space and I want to network in this space. And because I've done that, I know so many incredible filmmakers now that are out there doing all these projects. I'm just blown away and inspired by them every single day. And so how do you find the networking opportunities? The first question is, where do you want to be networking in? What's the space? If you're trying to take your engineering career to the next level, and that next level is, right now you're currently, let's say, working for an aerospace company, and you're trying to work for a different aerospace company, or you want to do work that's more focused on research, then you need to narrow down, right? Because you can network in a gazillion places, but the important thing is to start narrowing things down and finding those spaces. It's a trial and error. You're going to realize, okay, I'm going to network in this engineering group that I just saw on LinkedIn. And then I'm going to go ahead and attend a conference that they recommended in this LinkedIn engineering group. I'm going to go attend this conference see if that's a space I want to be in. You might get there and realize, absolutely not. These are not my people. This is not the vibe. This is not where I want to be. I need to pivot. And that's a huge part of this journey as well, is knowing where you don't want to be. And so narrow it down as much as you can based on the interest of where you're trying to go. So if you're an undergrad, I think someone in the chat's an undergrad student, and you're trying to find your way into a particular area, what is that area? And is there a LinkedIn group? Is there an event in your hometown? Is there a university nearby that can help you figure out where that opportunity is, where the event might be? So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, that was awesome. I think the more you engage in the groups that you're interested in, the more obviously you grow your network, but then you also get to find other people in those groups who are maybe able to connect you with even further people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to make sure we talk about imposter syndrome before this call is over, because that's a big question. And I think people on this call, I'm sure, have dealt with that. I dealt with that. So I definitely want to talk about that. So what's the next question?
Yeah, that was the next question, actually. So we had Selena. She said, as a mom, I'm just making a switch later in life. I feel like I'm so far behind everyone and my classmates. So how do you deal with that imposter syndrome and maybe help with personal branding as well?
Absolutely. Gosh, imposter syndrome is this thing that I wish imposter syndrome could just be banished from the earth. I find that it just crept its way into my life multiple times. And can I just get rid of this once and for all? Because I experience it, and then I do the work, and I get over it, and then I experience it again, and then it creeps up. Here's the interesting thing about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome shows up when you're making a move, when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. So congratulations, because otherwise you're not getting imposter syndrome, right? When you're in the same place and you're comfortable. You get imposter syndrome because you're opening yourself up to new opportunities, and you're ready to step into something new that is going to elevate you. And that's exactly when imposter syndrome shows up. Number one, congrats, means you're making moves, you're stepping into your power, you're doing new things. So the first thing I was going to say is that. The second thing is, it's not easy when it does show up. It's something that you have to work through. And what does that mean? And what does it mean when it shows up for me? Especially with personal branding, it's hard to put yourself out there when you're dealing with imposter syndrome, right? And so this is why I have reframed it as, it's not so much about tooting my own horn as much as it is giving people the user manual, the roadmap with how to engage with me. And so once I started framing it that way, it became less, I'm marketing myself, I'm selling my services. It became more about, I'm teaching people who I am, where I want to be, and what opportunities I want. Once I started framing it that way, as this user guide, as the manual to me, it really started to help. It's something that I use now all the time when I start to feel that creeping up, is that I want to moderate more panels. And maybe I'm not the best panel moderator in the world, and there are people that have been moderating panels for 30 years before me, and why should I be moderating the panels and the noise? But at the end of the day, I tell myself, yes, all of that's true. I might not have that experience, but I am good at it. And the more I do it, the more people are going to realize that I'm doing it. And I bring my own style to it. I bring my own approach to it. And guess what? People have liked it. And boom, imposter syndrome gone. So 1, you're in the right direction. 2, you have to move forward despite it. You have to move forward. You can't let that stop you. The feeling will be there, but you still have to move forward and try to reframe it in that I'm not marketing myself. I'm just letting people know how to interact with me and how to promote me and celebrate me and how to bring opportunities that I am looking for. If someone doesn't know you, it's hard to materialize things out of thin air. But if someone knows that you like to moderate a panel, okay, that's a start. And so that leads me to the next point is start small. Pick something, take one little step forward, and then take the next little step and take the next little step. And I know we hear that all the time too. I know that's also not easy to do, but it is a necessary part of beating down imposter syndrome. All imposter syndrome means is that you are growing, you're expanding, you are putting yourself in a new situation. And anything else, you just need to keep pushing along and just know. And also find yourself a good hype person. Find yourself someone who believes in you, someone who can remind you of your awesomeness on the days that's hard. I have one of my, and she's on here, Alexandra, shout out to Alexandra, who's always there just tooting my horn. She was messaging me even before this call. You're gonna be great. Find yourself someone who, a friend, anyone who's gonna help keep motivating you and reminding you of your awesomeness. And if you need that reminder, I looked through some of you guys' LinkedIn profiles. Oh my God, like you're all so awesome. Please, you can do it, okay? Whether you're a student, a new mom, and can I share a fun fact too? I had my son, talk about behind the ball, right? I went to grad school 10 years after I did undergrad. I joined the Air Force Reserves at 38. I was older than my drill sergeant. I was just at the cutoff point. And I still graduated with honors, and I still came in second in fitness with people that were, I kid you not, young enough to be my kid. So I've been there. Like, oh my gosh, what am I even doing here? What am I doing here? This is nuts. But I persevered because I knew this was the direction I wanted to go in. And trust me, when you're sitting there surrounded by, you're 38, your drill sergeant's 28, and you're surrounded by 18-year-olds, and they're all like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And you're just like, okay, I need to question my life decisions. But I was there because it aligned with who I am, and it aligns with where I was trying to go. And I was questioning, let me tell you, I was like, wow, what am I doing here? But it was the move to make. It was the move that I needed to make at the time. And I'm so grateful that I did. And it wasn't just, I'm going to show up and kick butt. I will outrun all of you. You know what I mean? And so graduating from boot camp with honors was great. It was great. I'm very proud of that. But it's because I showed up, and despite the imposter syndrome and despite questioning my life choices, some days I woke up and I was like, wow, I pushed forward. And having people in your corner that believe in you and are rooting for you is really important. And I became a mom I gave birth a few days before my 41st birthday, and I'm currently 42 years old. And there's so many other things that I'm still trying to do. And I'm constantly stepping into new spaces that the imposter syndrome starts creeping up. And I'm like, okay, but I've been here before. I know what to do. I know how to push forward. Okay, next questions. Hopefully that helps.
I think so. I believe like that mindset shift that you mentioned, that's phenomenal. I think that helps with like literally anything. And I think it's also the perfect segue into the next question. I've seen about 4 or 5 questions that are similar to this, but how do you land opportunities with little background in like a specific field? So you're trying to land an opportunity in a new field. You have a very different past experience and you're trying to break into another industry. Some people say that you don't have enough engineering experience, you don't have enough like this experience. How do you deal with that? How do you get your foot in the door?
I think that the big question is, how can I be of service? Show up, find someone in the room, the real room, the metaphorical room, find someone in the room and say, How can I help you? Can I volunteer? I still do that till this day in new spaces, especially with wanting to align myself a little bit more and align Betencourt Group a little bit more with wonderful filmmakers. It's how can I talk to you for an hour? Can I help out for an hour? Can I volunteer? What can I do? Showing up is the biggest part of it. Once you're there, you can just ask questions. Again, and also take advantage of the wonderful resources that are online, right? If you're just getting out of school and you don't have much of the work experience, are there kind of online certifications and things? I'm big on certifications because I think it just gives you that extra, all right, I don't have years of experience on this, but I went through this 4-month course. And one, now I have a little bit more knowledge. Two, it shows your commitment to wanting to be in that space, right? By doing this certification. And three, you can take all that knowledge and then show up again a little bit more prepared. And so what are any online courses you can join? Are there associations that you can join that are doing calls like this where you can interact, even if it's just virtually, with people in that space? And here's the thing about personal branding. Personal branding, it could be as simple as all of a sudden people are just seeing your name everywhere. Oh, I saw this person RSVP for this event list this week, and I saw this person RSVP for this event last week, and now they're showing up to this event again this week. Who is this person? They keep showing up. Even that is part of the personal branding. Why? Because it means people in that space are starting to see your name over and over again. So it could be as simple as just joining calls often so that people start seeing your name. And then suddenly maybe someone's looking at your LinkedIn profile, right? And then there's always, I think it's a little bit harder to do these days, but you can go on LinkedIn and find and connect with people in the space, see if someone's willing to sit down and do a 30-minute Zoom call with you, just to be able to start creaking that door open a little bit more. So there's a couple of ways to approach that, but showing up is the first start.
Yeah, I think that frequency of like visibility is such a real thing, because I remember I went to a really big school, but it was the same 10 to 15 names that would pop up whenever there was like an engineering like program or engineering conference. And it's like you eventually get to know all these people and they become part of your network, and it's so real to just show up consistently. I think that's such an important point.
Yeah, and I've done that so many times throughout my entire career. I just said, oh, this club seems interesting. This network seems interesting. I'm just going to start going to their meetings whenever I can. And suddenly everyone in that room knows you because you're just always there, even if you're just listening in and tuning in. So that's a big part of it, is just keep showing up in the Zoom calls, the networking events that they do, and maybe it's something in your community, in person that you can attend. Just keep showing up.
I'll move on to the next question. So this is from Angelica. She says, as I have scaled up my experiences, I sometimes struggle with knowing how to talk about my accomplishments because I want all my friends and family to not change how they view me or interact with me. So how do you balance like telling them about all these like impressive accomplishments while remaining humble, grounded, the same person that they knew you?
I have very strong opinions about this. Okay, so I'm just gonna say it, and it's not easy, and I've been there. And I'll say something too, I'll share, which is, it's a bit of a, I'd say painful experience somewhat, but every single time I've done something big, right? I'm gonna go to grad school. I'm gonna move to Sierra Leone during Ebola for 2 years and go mentor young women that have been through hell and back. I'm gonna join the Air Force. I'm gonna do whatever. I have lost, people have dropped off. People have stopped wanting to be my friend. Suddenly they're not connected to me on LinkedIn anymore. Suddenly they unfollowed me on Instagram. Suddenly they unfollowed me on Facebook. Suddenly they're not returning my calls. Suddenly they're not there. And this is more friends and acquaintances. And to that I say, bye, because it's not easy as someone who values and treasures my friendships so much. And I think this is also true in family. Don't play small. Please don't. I've done that too. And it sucks because it's just doing everyone a big disservice, and it puts you in this spiral of, I'd like to think that family members should be supportive and rooting you on, even if they don't get you either, even if they don't get it, even if their entire experience has been so vastly different from your own. And so I would say show compassion, but don't play small. Be proud of your achievements, right? Don't become like annoying, gloating person either. But there's nothing wrong with being proud of what you've achieved and sharing that openly with your family so that they can really see you shine, because you should be shining. Please shine. When you shine, you give other people permission to shine. When you're out there being your authentic self and being proud of your achievements, it allows other people to also step into that space. And so it's really important that we, including myself, not do that. Share your, and again, I'm not an expert in this at all. I'm just speaking from personal experience. Share your accomplishments with your family. And you don't have to come in with bells and whistles, but you should definitely share what you've achieved with them and with everyone and feel proud of that. And gosh, in this conversation, that's a whole other like Zoom call, right? It's a lot, there's a lot to unpack there. My husband now is the most supportive, the most biggest cheerleader, the most embracing of my crazy ideas in my life. And that's been critical, to have people in your corner that are like, you're like, you know what, I'm a mom, but I want to go get my PhD, or I want to go do this thing. And you need someone who's going to be like, right on, go do it. Let's go. I'm rooting for you, as you should be for them, right? So yeah, that's a conversation that requires its own like Zoom call. But I just say I've been there, and nothing good comes from you hiding for the sake of others. So like truly, it doesn't. And then it makes it really hard for you then to be open with strangers, because you're like, wow, I'm scared of how my family might react. What will these other people in the industry do? So it's a slippery slope. Be mindful of that. I just want to make sure I'm sharing in the most sensitive way, because it's not easy. But please don't shrink yourself for anyone, and do so with compassion, and encourage people in your own family to talk about the things that they're proud of. Sometimes it's a group activity, right? What are you proud of today? How can I celebrate you? And try to create more of that culture in your family of celebrating each other and the hard work that other people in your family might be doing, regardless of their roles in the household or at work. Sometimes that's what it takes, where you're bringing something to the table and now you're trying to draw them out too and celebrate them. Celebrate each other, because it makes it easier for all of us to do that for ourselves.
Love that. That was beautiful. There are so many quotes that I'm going to go back and look at this recording and extract them out, because I have 10 t-shirt ideas right now with just the most gorgeous quotes. Cool. Thank you so much, Angela. With that being said, you mentioned that you need a hype person. Everybody needs a hype person, and it's so important to keep meeting on Zoom, especially with others. And if you want to continue the conversation with Angela, I'm going to drop the link here to book a call with her. Angela, we have 2 minutes left. Is there a quick snippet that you wanted to say about the link that I just dropped there?
Yeah, I'm just checking to make sure it's my right Calendly. I think it is. Just want to make sure. Okay, so I think that one goes to my website. I'm going to drop my Calendly link in the chat. It's for my consultations. I do 30-minute consultations for Betencourt group, for kind of exploratory calls for people that are interested in learning more about what's possible for them. So I can drop that link if you want to just schedule 30 minutes with me. And it doesn't have to be about PR. It could be, if you have these questions and we didn't get around to answering these questions, you can book a call with me. I think you did drop my LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn message also works, because then we can exchange numbers or whatever. I'm happy to keep these conversations going. Happy to share any tips and tricks that I've used to navigate some of these tricky situations and imposter syndrome and all of that stuff, because really there's so much more to expand on there. But yeah.
I will let everyone go in 1 minute. I'm going to try to cram as much as I can in these last few seconds. Just to end things on a really fun note, we're going to do rapid fire questions real quick, which I'm going to ask you a question, Angela, and the point of it is just to answer the first thing that pops into your head. Don't think too much about it. For example, what is your favorite go-to snack?
Favorite go-to snack is probably string cheese.
Love that. What a unique answer. Okay, so cool.
Cheese.
What is one item that you would bring to Mars if you went to Mars?
Assuming there's food there and stuff, probably.
There will be string cheese there.
Okay, good. So then probably two things, which I bring with me when I travel anywhere anyways, and that's hand cream and chapstick, because dry lips and dry hands will ruin my day.
Amen.
It will just ruin my day.
Yes, that is good notes. I need to remember that because I would need to bring chapstick too. Just be game over. Thank you, Angela, so much. And thank you everyone from the WAN community for being here, asking questions, being so engaged. This has definitely been one of my most favorite events so far. I just love hearing from everyone. We are, as a quick advertisement for WAN, we are running right now a small circle. It is a selective small experiment. There are only 16 spots available. I'm dropping the link here, and there's some core things like your name in the next magazine. This issue of Origins, it's coming out soon. You'll get that access to that early. I'm super excited, and a few other things. I dropped the link there to apply. There's only a few spots left. With that said, Tina, any other words to wrap up here?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, everybody. Thank you, Angela, for coming. This was absolutely lovely. If you missed any of the links, if you need access to any of the LinkedIn, the Calendly, our link to sign up for early access to the magazine, anything at all, just send us a DM and I'll respond to you. But yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Truly, I appreciate you spending, all of you from everywhere that you're tuning in from, for spending an hour with me, listening to me talk about all these different types of topics. I hope that it was helpful and informative for you. I hope that you all feel a little bit more inspired and a little bit more knowledgeable about personal branding and all of that good stuff. I'm just super grateful for all of you for being here. And for Holly, thank you. I was telling you before, what you've built is incredible, and I'm grateful to you for creating this incredible network of such impressive women. My goodness, you guys are so impressive.
They are trailblazers. Every day, everything that I hear, every time I read a bio snippet, I am in total awe. It's like, how are these people even real? These are like superheroes. And they don't even realize it because of imposter syndrome. And it's so sad.
Yeah, I just hope that I helped nip that in the bud a little bit, or at least give some insights that can help. But yeah, I'm just really grateful for all of you for coming here from all over the place. My goodness. Thank you guys so much.
Alrighty, have a good day, everyone. Or a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Hi, Holly. Can you hear me?
Hi, yeah.
Cool. Okay. I cannot see a Q&A feature. I looked in through all of the different options, but I don't know, maybe it wasn't enabled in your account or something. We have 11 people in the waiting room right now.
I can't see that.